What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tico on Blitz back at it again with another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 8 Soviet Autoloading Heavy, the IS-3 Defender. This is a vehicle that may seem pretty deadly in terms of what its physical playstyle is all about, due to the fact that it's an autoloader that carries 3 shells, dealing an average of 400 damage, which means with all 3 penning shells, you would be able to get those levels up to 1,200 damage. How freaking crazy is that? The only problem is that there's a lot of downsides that contribute towards this vehicle. One of them is, the pen. 245 on the premium, bro. Like, what the heck? Wargaming, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Oh my god. I've even heard that this has happened to the IS-5 as well, to where the pen levels are about the same as what this one has going for it. But they did claim that it was a bug, so I'm really hoping that by next week they're gonna fix that. But oh my gosh, bro, that is sincerely lackluster. And another unfortunate downfall for this vehicle is that magazine reload of 23 seconds to get all 3 of those shells back in your clip, combined with the worst aiming time of 6.2 seconds. Oh my goodness. Which means that you would have to literally sit and wait for your aiming reticle to decrease to the fullest capacity in order to guarantee the pens into your vehicles. In terms of the physical armor profile to what this vehicle has going for it, it has 249 mils of frontal turret armor and 130 mils of frontal hull armor. And this is what it looks like. Of course, the turret is going to be the major strong point, considering that it's upwards of in the 350s. You got the majority of the upper infrastructure that's really thick as well, upwards of 242, and surprisingly enough, the lower plate as it's angled upwards of 228. There is a very tiny corner cutout right here that surrounds the lowest most point of the upper infrastructure and the lower plate that is able to be cut through. You would just have to hit it in the right spot, upwards of 212. But that's really all going to change for most vehicles when I load in my premiums. But this is an IS-3 Defender, what it's looking at against its former self. Like, what? Bro, I don't know what Wargaming was on when they thought of this idea. But calibrated shells, of course, of 245, that's much better. Now you can butter through some of the bits of the upper infrastructure. But if I were to pull out a vehicle like an IS-6, for example, right here, because this vehicle has much better pen factors now, to where all bits of the upper infrastructure can now be buttered through. Even some bits of the turret, like you got some corner cutouts right here, to where you'd have to also hit in the right spot in order to guarantee the penetration as apart from that. As opposed from using this vehicle's gun depression, it does thicken that upper plate now to 276 in most cases. Like I said, premium is not going to struggle whether it's using its gun depression or not, even on flat ground. Basically the same outcome, although it's only thickened to a minor bit, upwards of 280. So once we make our way towards the side of the vehicle, the side of the turret is upwards of 157, and then the full-on side is upwards of 165. And then for the rear, the back of the turret's upwards of 82, and then the full-on rear where the engine deck is located is upwards of 76. Of course, HE is upwards of 73 millimeters. Yeah, good luck trying to cut through that because it's not going to be possible. So in terms of the magazine reload time, the vehicle has just shy of 1900 damage per minute. Pretty lackluster for a tier 8, I should also say. Its alpha damage, like I said, 400 on the standard, 340 on the premium, and 500 on the high explosive. And surprisingly enough, this vehicle is actually quite maneuverable, going 40 forward and 15 in reverse, while having a power to weight of 14.6 along with that. So let's go ahead and get into a couple bits of gameplay with this lackluster vehicle and see what we can do. I remember the first time when the IS-3 Defender came out, I think it was probably like 3 or 4 years in advance after World of Tank Blitz came out. I know for a fact it was way before update 5.5 when they made necessary changes to like getting rid of certain vehicles, converting them into collectors, anything like that. But I do got to admit, this was a fun tank to use back then because you could literally just deal 1,200 damage still in a matter of a couple seconds. But the only thing that Wargaming wanted to do with this vehicle is they wanted to make it to a far balanced vehicle. And that's primarily what this vehicle has remained stationary about for the past couple of years, is that it's meant to be on the more balanced side. So let's go ahead and see what we can do in a couple bits of gameplay here. In terms of heavies, they have a Comp Panzer 70, they have an AMX M449, AMX 5100, and an IS-5. So, let's see what we can do as apart from that. We're just going to be relying on our maneuverability. We're going to head right on over here towards half in between town, half in between mid. So, we got a couple vehicles lurking on out. We got that enemy IS-5, looks like he's going to be coming on out. But the only problem is even if I did fire, I was possibly guaranteed to miss that shot. So, we got that Comp Panzer 70 off to the side. Let's see what we can do here, actually. All right, looks like we got our Type moseying on forward. I'm going to move up myself just a little bit. Got that IS-5 off to the side. Let's see what else we can spot as apart from him. So it looks like a couple of their enemies are being pecked off. We got this AT-15 off in the back, though, who we can spot. So we got to kind of just rely on our gun to maybe see if we can get a tap into his vehicle right there. We got his hatch exposed. There we go. 364 slap into his vehicle. And we got that IS-5 off to the side. So we're going to mosey on up. Okay, I can't really spot him at the slightest bit. Let's see. We got that Comp Panzer off to the side. We got the M4 moseying on up as well. Let's see if this guy is going to maybe make a dire mispoke as apart from that. I would really like for bro to expose himself. There's the IS-5 right there. Let's get a slap for 413 into his vehicle. Beautiful stuff. So then we're going to reload our third shell once again. We got that AMX-50 right off to the back. We also got the AT-15. Not really nothing I can do towards him. Got that M449 that looks like he's going to make a poke as well. He does bounce me, surprisingly enough, because of hold-down capabilities, contributing whatsoever towards this vehicle. Alright, so we got that IS-5 off to the side. This is a little bit of a weird situation, because all their guys are literally just put onto a point to where they're not necessarily out in the open to where I can peck them off instantly. Got that M4. I'm a little concerned about this guy. I'm also concerned about that AT-15 off in the back. So I think the best possible outcome to what I can do is I could possibly wait for one of these guys to poke on out further. Oh, I had that M4, unfortunate. But he's probably going to mosey on forward continuously. So let's see. Oh, he barely had a glimpse of his vehicle. Well, they could have had an opportunity to hit me, like this AMX 5100 right there. But we're going to get a slap for 376 into his vehicle. There's 1100 damage in all three shells. Not bad of a result, but unfortunately enough, our reload is taking forever, and it's going to give this guy the opportunity to mosey on forward and get some taps into my vehicle, unfortunately enough. So we're going to try our best to angle, but of course this guy's not going to have any trouble whatsoever in order to pen me. Well, the good news is that I have my shells reloaded back in my clip, so I'm going to mosey on right on over towards this enemy 5100. Let's go ahead and mosey our way. Let's go ahead and get a single tap, 500 max roll into his vehicle. We're reloading again. Our second shell in our clip is almost ready, and see ya. Well, I didn't get the clear, but that's totally all right. So, got the Comp Panzer 70. It looks like we're going to have another shell in our clip. Let's go ahead and see if we can maybe get a slap into this guy right here. Aiming. There we go. 450 slap-a-rooney into his vehicle. And then we just back on up because apparently this E50 really wants me so bad. I don't really know why. Unfortunately enough, he's going to come right on in behind me. And the IS is right there too. Oh, I get a bounce. Uh-oh. But it's not going to change the outcome of this battle as we are already cooked regardless. So, let's go ahead and see if we can maybe get a quick slap into the IS-5. Unfortunately, low rolling the shot. And yeah, that was the most of unfortunate downfalls right there. But it wasn't necessarily our fault, considering that we still did 2,400 damage. I mean, don't expect to get high damage games all the time in this vehicle just because of that lackluster 20 seconds of magazine reload time in. That is just the most unfortunate factor that contributes for this vehicle right here, and why at times it is going to be a little bit of a struggle in order to do well in a vehicle along this caliber. And yep, my luck with the MM still continues to suffer, of course, because I am with the worst teammates. 2,500, we were still able to block 1,200 in that aspect. I'm really curious to look at these players. Yep, 49. There's two 40%ers. Wow, yeah. This is what I'm stuck with, guys. This is really fun. Wow. Wow, a lot of 50%ers, only like 2 or 3 40%ers. That's actually quite crazy. Well, I hope the second battle is not going to be as bad as the first one, because apparently with my luck from the past couple of videos, I've been starting to lose my confidence much more with this game, apparently. But it doesn't take away the fact that my skills with certain vehicles are top-notch and that I would have to carry my teams the whole entire time. So, That's a positive apart from that. So let's go ahead and plop into game number 2. There we go. A tier 8 battle finally. So they got an IS-5. They have a Torn Vaughn, a 45 TP, and a VK 4503. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the left in support of our mediums. Let's see what we can do as apart from countering the other mediums that they would have. By the looks of it, it is just a RU. Yeah, so that seems to be the only one that they would have. So let's go to mosey up top just in case. I'm going to go in support of my glamorous mediums just in case. Otherwise, if they would have all their vehicles going towards town, that would not be a great outcome either. Well, it looks like it's not the case, as the Pantera did get spotted, so let's go ahead and mosey our way on up then. Let's see what we can do. Already got a Torn Vaughn spotted. Yep, I knew that RU was going to be off towards the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my vehicle on over towards the ridge right here. Let's see if we can maybe get some nice taps into this RU right over here. So we got the enemy RU right there. It looks like he's coming on forward. Not at the bare minimum, though, but it looks like he's going to be going all the way out, apparently enough. To which I'm going to be heading on myself on in. And let's see if we can get some nice taps into this enemy RU right here. Unfortunately, it is off in the back. But there was another vehicle that was lurking around these lines, and I do assume it was the enemy 45. So we're going to be moseying on through. Let's see what we can do. Well, it looks like that he did abandon the flank as apart from his teammate as well, so we're going to kind of mosey our way on down then. Oh, there he is, the 45 TP up, and they have an AFK IS-5 off towards the side. We're going to go ahead and aim in, get a slap for 401 into his vehicle. Then we're going to angle from the 45. Unfortunately, he was not able to spot me in that aspect. So what we're going to do is we're going to aim in another shot on this AFK IS-5 right there. 435 out of his vehicle. Reloading again. Our third shell in our clip is almost ready. In 3, 2, 1, and boop for 387. All right. And unfortunately enough, we got to reload the clip once again. So we're going to stay put right behind this rock until the time being, and let's see what further deduction of hit points we can get out of our enemies. We got that Senlac who's backing on up, unfortunately. So we got another 5 seconds loading on into our clip. We got this Senlac off to the open. Let's see if we can aim in an HE into his vehicle. There we go. Beautiful slap into his vehicle, finishing him off in the process. Alright, so we're going to mosey on forward. We're going to go right on over towards this VK-45. We're going to get a slap for 333. Reloading our third shell once again. We also got the T-28 prototype off towards the side as well. To which we're going to go ahead and aim in on his turret for 450. Beautiful stuff right there again. So at times when the gun really wants to work, it can feel nice getting those high chunk of rolls out of your enemies. That's something I've always liked about the IS-3 Defender, is just relying on that deadly clip to get the job well done, and just deteriorate hit points left and right into your enemies. So we got another 3 seconds loading on into our clip. We're going to go ahead and mosey on over towards the enemy RU. We're going to get the clear into his vehicle, and then we're going to mosey on up towards the enemy Torn Vaughn right over here. In another 2 seconds, we'll be able to get the clear into this guy right here, just like that. And a beautiful demonstration, a much better one, I should say, apart from the first battle, just doing shy of 3,000 damage. But I do gotta say, 23 seconds of an intra-clip reload time, still a little bit lackluster. I mean, if it was much less, that would have been 3,000 damage, but I'm still totally fine with that positive outcome. There's a top on the team in that aspect. And that is where I have to drop the mic for this session. Of course, it's not the best vehicle, but it can still withhold flanks to the best of its ability. It's more over-reliant based upon its gun depression factors. However, fire premium ammo in order to guarantee the pin. Just a very weird vehicle in certain aspects. But I do gotta say, I always love the IS-3 Defender just because of the sheer power that it packs, and for the fact that I've used it for a longer period of time, and it's always done me well in certain regards. So hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video on the other hand, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it, so you do not miss out on any new videos or streams. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.